Welcome to iiConCast. My name is Matt, and sitting across from me is the Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas to my Miz. This week in WWE, there was a lot going on. I think we should crack right into it with the beginning of Raw.
I think you're a step ahead. I don't know if you realized, but there was a pay-per-view on Sunday.
There was.
Oh, there was. Oh, yeah, there was the Fast Lane.
I try and pretend that those pay-per-views don't exist.
The Fast Lane to WrestleMania. Oh, yeah.
And nothing happened. Okay, there's not... No.
Let's see. Put together matches. You had Nakamura Rusev. You had Nakamura. Wow. You had Nakamura Rusev. You had Carmella and Natalie versus Lynch and Naomi. Like a bunch of quick matches put together because you don't want to burn the matches to WrestleMania. You had New Day Usos, which when you put those two guys together, those two teams are magic. And you know what? That matchup was a great matchup until the Bludgeon Brothers got involved. They were using each other's tag team maneuvers. So you had Usos doing Midnight Hour and Unicorn Stampede. You had the New Day doing super kicks and frog splashes. Great match. They ruined it with the Bludgeon Brothers.
I don't think so. I disagree.
I agree that I know what it's building to, but they ruined the match. You go back, do you remember the first match they had in the New Day Uso feud in the summer?
Yep.
Where they won by disqualification? It was an amazing match, and they tainted it with that one little thing.
But see, that's the thing, is this is what I'm talking about with Fastlane with nothing matches. The Usos New Day match doesn't actually matter. It was never supposed to matter. It was framework. And so, by having the Usos New Day be tainted, as you said, with the Bludgeon Brothers interference, that's a great way to introduce the Bludgeon Brothers to the real tag team division. No more squash matches with enhancement talent. Now we're seeing real tag teams squaring up against the Bludgeon Brothers.
We already saw them get introduced on the SmackDown before, when they interrupted Usos and New Day in their little fight, where I still give props to Biggie when he finally snapped out of his goofiness for 5 minutes and laid it into the Usos. But they already introduced him right then and there. They didn't have to ruin this match. I don't care if after all those matches they had a count out at that point. Let them finish their match and then let the Bludgeon Brothers attack them.
Like I said, I don't think you're seeing the forest for the trees on this one. The big picture matters a lot more than a simple match that we've seen 5 other times. I'm sorry. Kevin versus Sami Zayn, they were great matches. They put on clinics. They worked well together. But after a while, people wanted, when they said just one more match and that's the last one, that's all people wanted. No more. We can stop it for a while. And that's the same thing with the Usos New Day. This is just proof that there's nothing going on SmackDown.
The Usos New Day they shouldn't have done what they did. I'm sorry. Me and you are going to disagree on this. Usos New Day needed to happen. They had booked it. It was coming up. They should have just done the match. Now the framework, it's going to be a triple threat or whatever with them now. Not going to be as good. I think this was their one chance to do one more angle with those two. And then add the Bludgeon Brothers against the Usos. I don't think New Day needs to be a part of it. You want as much people as you can on WrestleMania. Put the New Day in the Battle Royal. They don't need to be in this tag team match. The New Day is great. They're great comedy. Right now it's their time to go into the deep dark corners and just be a tag team. They don't need to be in the picture. Bludgeon Brothers, Usos. Usos are doing amazing work right now. Bludgeon Brothers are coming up. They've had all their squash matches. They need to do the New Day match, get rid of them, and then have the Bludgeon Brothers destroy the Usos at Fastlane. Okay with that. Wrong way to go about it.
Next match.
We have, let's backtrack a little bit. Orton now a Grand Slam champion.
I mean, congratulations. 100%. Congratulations are in order. I no doubt feel this was a gesture and nothing else. Orton doesn't need a championship.
No, it was a gesture. It was like, wait a minute. How is Dean Ambrose a Grand Slam champion and Randy Orton isn't?
And I think that's the thing, is when we get to WrestleMania, that is going to end. There will be no... Orton will lose the title at WrestleMania. Keeping him with the title at WrestleMania, having him... When Rude is so over. Rude is still over. That is one person they've managed to keep from NXT, and the heat has not stopped. There was a little hiccup when they decided to do the Dolph Ziggler stuff, but straight up, Rude needs the championship. Orton can be another one of those veterans who... Look, end of day, WWE doesn't know how to push their newer talent when their old talent is the legacies and stuff like that, and Orton's one of them. Orton's a legacy now of his own, and he should step into, like New Day, should step into that dark corner.
Orton's not going to lose the title at WrestleMania. I'm sorry. You're going to have Bobby Roode and Jinder Mahal, and Orton's going to walk away with that belt again. Because you're not giving it back to Roode yet. You're not giving it to Jinder. As much as I would love it to give to Jinder. I still think there's a little bit of storyline left in Jinder and Orton. And it just needs to be done. But the issue right now is Bobby Roode's involved. And the kick on that end of that story is not going to happen while Bobby Roode's involved. It's been beaten. The Orton, Jinder Mahal horse has been beaten to death. But there is one strand that nobody's paying attention to, is how many times did Jinder Mahal beat Randy Orton for that title? Every single time. Orton needs the win. Title on the line, Orton finally needs to beat Jinder. Because every time you watch TV, Jinder's going over Orton. They need to do one more match, but with Bobby Roode in there, it's not going to get the same response as it should.
I feel like you're giving WWE more props than they deserve. Saying that Orton's not just going to lose the title because he just won it, and that Roode's not going to win the title because he just lost it, that's like WWE Hot Potato 101. The tag team titles do that all the time. This is not new. This is something that they love to do. This is a gesture towards Orton, and this whole concept in your head of Jinder and Orton still having storyline, they're not even pushing storyline. The only thing they're pushing with Jinder is that he wants to be in the match. And like, he literally, if you go back, this storyline started over the power rankings.
Charlotte defeated Ruby Riott, Asuka.
Yeah, that was one of the, more so than Orton being crowned grand champion, I think that was more important because they did it right. They didn't put Asuka versus Bliss. That would have been a waste. Yeah. Having Asuka versus Flair, and once again, we'll touch on this later on when we get to Raw and SmackDown, but Asuka said it herself on Raw. She needs to face the best in the company. And especially with, as you said a couple weeks ago, with the whole Nia Jax issue, and how like she looked really weak against Nia Jax, and now Nia Jax is becoming this bigger character on the Raw roster. Having Asuka actually fight Charlotte instead, we're now starting to see the seeds of what's going to happen with the Superstar shakeup. They're planting it now, so that way, when it happens, we're not surprised.
Fair enough. Lastly, Styles wins. I think that's all I gotta say. And you're quite happy of how the tag team division played out. I'm very happy with how Shane McMahon, Owens, and Zayn played out. Styles goes to WrestleMania against Nakamura. Everything is being granted that we wanted on SmackDown.
And I think that if Shane does need to self-insert himself to WrestleMania, which, stop. You are not The Undertaker. You are not Triple H. You don't need a match at every WrestleMania, for God's sakes. At least this has been a building storyline for almost a year.
Yeah, go back to SummerSlam when it was Shane McMahon and AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. Hell in a Cell. It's been building. It's the same two people, just adding a new person in there, just cycling them out.
This is a nice, slow burn, and like I said, as far as putting Shane into WrestleMania, this is the closest I can get to something that will make me happy.
Raw?
Raw. So, Lesnar, once again, no-showing. This is not a surprise, and I told you, this was the way to book Lesnar. If you really need to book Lesnar as a heel and have Reigns as a face, and WWE is damned and determined to do so, then having Lesnar constantly no-show. Did you hear what happened at one of the house shows recently where he got...
Chicago?
Where he got booed out of the arena?
After a 35-second match.
And that... You said it yourself. He needs to keep his commitments on house shows. And he's doing that with squash matches.
Yep.
And that is the most... This is how you get people to hate Lesnar. When it comes to WrestleMania, they're still going to cheer him because it's Roman Reigns. But this is the closest we can get to having a heel Lesnar versus a face Reigns.
Okay, so go to Raw. Lesnar no-shows. Got Kurt Angle, Roman Reigns in the ring. Do you think WWE had a little boo-boo when Roman Reigns decided he was going to go to Vince? All scripted, I'm cool with that. But Shane McMahon is sitting right next to Vince McMahon on Raw.
So awkward.
Hi, my name's Shane. I run SmackDown. Wait a minute, I'm running Raw from behind the scenes.
Yeah. It's one of those things, having these work shoot promos sounds like a great idea. But the problem with work shoot promos is you need to script everything out perfectly. And you said it yourself. Having Romans go to the gorilla position, we've never seen a wrestler go to the gorilla position as a kayfabe thing. This is the first. Amazing. And then you screw it up by putting Shane on screen. And they never referenced it. It was just a, nope, sweep that under the rug. Shane wasn't there.
Who's Shane McMahon on Raw? Oof, that was Triple H. Let's get that straight.
Well, and see, that's the thing, is, can you imagine if that would have been Triple H? How much more would that have hit if he would have not just stood up to the boss, but the person everybody wants to be the boss?
Well, you can't even do that either. They played it right. Don't put Triple H there because Triple H already has a storyline. You put Roman Reigns and Triple H together, now you're looking like you're trying to confuse fans. B.G. James. No, I guess it's not B.G. James. Let's just go with Road Dogg. Road Dogg is known to be in that part. Why don't you just have him on Raw? No one cares if he's on Raw or SmackDown. Arn. Put anyone beside. That is not Shane McMahon. Or I guess Daniel Bryan if you want to be really worried about
wacky
having weird people in places.
But yeah, I think that, and then continuing that on by doing the commercial break and then having Vince tell everybody that Reigns was put on probation.
Suspended.
Suspended, yeah. The problem there is I feel like they're trying to Austin 316 us. And the problem is Reigns coming in and breaking the rules isn't going to look like Austin coming in and breaking the rules. It's going to look like John Cena getting fired after the Nexus, where everyone went, lol, okay, just kidding. I guess he's not fired or on a suspension or anything like that. If he comes in and breaks the rules, no one's going to cheer him and go, oh man, he's sticking it to the man. They're going to go, oh god, it's Roman still.
They should have, if they were going to do this in hindsight, they should have done this when they broke up the Shield when Reigns was hot. Before they're like, haha, we shove him down your throat, a.k.a. John Cena. No, they should have done it then. Now it's too late. No one's buying that he's this badass. It's too late.
Hey. But he swears.
Whew.
Doesn't say suffering succotash anymore. I'm happy.
Hey.
Okay, on to the women's match. Sasha versus Deville with Bayley in Sasha's corner. This match, honestly, super underwhelming. Banks can put on a good match. Deville can put on a good match. But nobody cares about that right now. Honestly, Absolution doesn't matter. We talked about this when we talked about Elimination Chamber. Absolution right now just has no heat. That's what the Riot Squad is for. What's important right now is the Bayley-Sasha feud. And I feel like when we look at it, we're not going to remember who Sasha beat. we're going to look at the fact that Bayley walked away for Sasha to get her butt kicked.
You know, I hate to say this. I want this match. It's going to end up on the undercard of WrestleMania.
It's going to end up on the undercard of WrestleMania, and it's going to end up underwhelming.
Yep.
No matter, even if they do decide to go crazy and book Bayley as a heel, they could do something crazy like that. It's not going to sell.
No, it's over. They've dragged it on too long. It's dead in the water.
Well, and part of that has to do with the fact that Bayley has no steam.
We've talked and how matches, some matches need the belt, some matches don't. Right now, if you want this match to work, we all want this match, but it needs the belt. It needs to be something on the line. Something needs to...
Not just their friendship.
Yeah, it's dragging on. They've let it go on too long. WrestleMania's too stacked.
Well, before we let this bit go on too long, let's talk about John Cena.
And his fake third wall? Or fourth wall? You mean John Cena's fake fourth wall? Where he decides that, hey, look, guys, the microphone is on. Whoa, ha, ha. Yes, we know. We all know what's going to happen. The mic's not going to be cut off because you're saying Undertaker.
And my biggest thing with this was when John Cena goes to do something bad, the first thing he does every time he does something that's not right,
and goes tee-hee-hee.
He goes, he looks at the crowd, he looks at the camera, and he just kind of winks and goes, I'm doing something bad! And it's just like, I'm gonna do, what if I do something bad? Oh, what if I call out The Undertaker? Huh? And then, he does that whole, the WWE is really trying to bank on this work-shoot stuff right now. Nobody talks about The Undertaker the way Cena talked about Taker on Monday. And kudos to WWE. Because... you know what? At least they're trying something new. That being said, I still don't want this match. And the more they build to it, the more it needs to not happen, in my opinion.
And I still want this match.
You want this match 5 years ago.
I do. But I'm going to get it now, and I'm still going to get my Undertaker, and WrestleMania is still going to be WrestleMania because the Undertaker's on it. The moment Undertaker's no longer on WrestleMania, whether good, bad, or indifferent, it's going to suck. And you know what? You want to pick on the Undertaker for how he looked last year? Look who was across the ring from him.
But the problem was Taker couldn't even do a tombstone.
I don't care. Look back. Back to WrestleMania 26. We all thought Undertaker was done then. And him and Shawn Michaels come out and destroy the house. Go back to the Hell in the Cell with Triple H and Undertaker. Undertaker's over the hill. We can't do this anymore. He destroys the house with Triple H. I think his better matches at WrestleMania, especially at this age, come with who he's in the ring with. Remember the Bray Wyatt match at WrestleMania? I don't. I remember Brock Lesnar and Undertaker, but I feel like that was, as much as that was the Undertaker carrying Brock Lesnar for a bit, Brock Lesnar made that match. How much of us remember them sitting up in the middle of the ring laughing at each other?
Was that WrestleMania?
That was WrestleMania 30.
Oh, I thought that might have been Hell in the Cell.
It was WrestleMania 30. They both sit up going, ah, ha, ha. It's who's in the ring with them. Roman Reigns, as much as everyone says Roman Reigns is a good wrestler, maybe he is. It's not what The Undertaker needs right this second.
But here's the thing. I'll use a great analogy. I went and I saw Motorhead before Lemmy passed away. Okay? And I was expecting amazing. I was expecting to hear Ace of Spades, and I was expecting Motorhead. And you know what I got? Guitars that were too loud, drowned out Lemmy's voice, and Lemmy sounded like he was gargling. It was awful. I will never have a good experience with Motorhead because I only got to see them at their worst. Do you want to see Taker at his worst?
Did you look at the arena when John Cena said, I want The Undertaker?
I'm not asking about the arena. I'm asking about you. Do you want to see Taker at his worst?
The Undertaker will not be at his worst. And that's why I want this match. This is not... Look at Ric Flair when he retired. That match still carried. Even though Ric Flair was 147 years old and fighting Shawn Michaels, that match still carried. Some people are big-time performers, and John Cena Undertaker is a big-time match at WrestleMania.
I'm not saying it's not going to buy. It will buy. But it's not going to be a good match. And when we finally pass WrestleMania, you can come back to this moment and go, damn it, Matt, you were right. That match sucked.
And Matthew, when we get past WrestleMania and you realize, oh my God, it was Roman Reigns that made The Undertaker look like a bag of shit, I am sorry. John Cena and Undertaker tore the house down.
Well, I guess we're only a few weeks away from that. I want to just quickly talk about the seeds that I was talking about a few minutes ago of who's going where. The Bar spoke to Kurt Angle about being traded so that they could do a champions versus champions match against the Usos. The Bar's whole storyline right now is they've beaten everybody. Nobody can beat them. What if at WrestleMania the Bar loses their titles and then during the shakeup they get moved to SmackDown so that SmackDown can have a new challenger to the battle?
Fair enough. Who do you trade the other way?
Honestly, I don't know if that... Maybe... I don't think you can trade any team that's too big.
Maybe they just went to SmackDown where they should have been at the beginning.
Oh, 100%.
Usos ain't going nowhere.
Rusev Day. Trade Rusev Day.
So you're trading a great tag team for a nothing tag team?
Yes, because Raw doesn't need it right now.
Who's carrying the Raw tag team division? Braun. Never mind.
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And we will get to this when we get to the end of Raw here. But I'm sorry. WrestleMania? If they don't give the titles to Braun, they're missing out on the biggest opportunity. Impact's already done it. WWE has never had a single person win the tag team titles on their own. I think that's the brilliance there. Going into the whole storyline, once again, continuing with Miz, Seth Rollins.
Blue Balor.
Finn Balor.
Blue Balor.
Yes, he wears blue. I know you don't like the shade of blue. Would it be better if he had something on his tights and it wasn't just blue?
I feel he could come out with a rainbow. I feel like he could come out with anything but straight blue. He looks like a bloody Smurf.
It's attire. Literally, it is his attire, and I have never seen a color get as much heat as John Cena.
Blue Balor.
Blue Balor. X-Pac heat. Okay, so I think that the Miz TV thing was what we saw at Elimination Chamber. It was Miz trying to play both sides. They look at each other and go, hey, look, you tried to play this on me already. And that was kind of it. Miz TV this week. Some people said that Miz TV was really good this week. I didn't see it. Miz does great promos when he's talking on his own. I don't think his best work comes out during Miz TV. Going into the match, though, the Seth Rollins versus Blue Balor match. There you go. See, I said it for you.
Blue Balor.
I think in that match, that was one of their weaker matches. Hands down, one of the smartest finishes. Balor winning using his brains in a match where the two wrestlers are pretty much the exact same. Like, you really look at it, and it's like, one has a curb stomp, one has a coup d'etat. They both use the sling blade. They're both willing to go to the top rope. They're both agile. They'll both do a tope suicida or whatever.
A suicide dive.
Yeah.
A suicide dive. What are you, Ronaldo?
mean, that's what they call it in the video games even now. Tope Suicida.
We're on Raw, not NXT here.
I'm just talking about WWE 2K18.
Oh my goodness.
The roll-up on the Superplex was smart. Not even just like, oh, well, Balor's smart. That was unexpected. And I like seeing roll-ups out of nowhere when it's like oh, well, this was scouted. When it's like oh, we need to finish this match and we don't know how, so here's a quick roll-up that's like, that's a weak ending.
How do you scout a superplex? I'm sorry, the whole idea of a superplex is you coming off the top and you're driving your opponent's body into the mat, taking the wind out of him. Please tell me how that didn't happen to Balor.
It's scripted. Of course, Balor is going to somehow magically win it. I'm just talking about when two people have faced each other so many times and someone does a move they do often and then they can reverse it or put it to their advantage. Nia Jax. I already said it. I think they're finally booking her in a smart direction. Having the Alexa Mickey James friendship kind of build, come closer, be a real thing works perfectly for me. Having now Alexa pushing away her friendship with Nia Jax, pulling the whole Mean Girls, picking on her, making fun of her. Once again, the third time in Raw, pulling a work shoot where it's the mic's on, breaking that fourth wall.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Really?
I said my part at Elimination Chamber. Nia is not being booked properly. She has not entered Monster Phase. When she enters Monster Phase, I will acknowledge that she's finally being booked properly.
But doing something for the sake of doing something isn't always the right answer. Having Braun Strowman be a monster because Braun Strowman's a monster, cool. He can prove it. He can powerlift an entire stage.
Have you ever seen Brock Lesnar break down and cry on national WWE TV?
It's a character difference.
It is not. Nia Jax should be... I know Ronda Rousey's there now, but Nia Jax should be either Braun Strowman or Brock Lesnar on that show. She is a dominating force. Do you remember Awesome Kong? Do you remember that you just don't mess with Awesome Kong?
No, I don't actually.
That
Nia
Jax needs to be Awesome Kong. Forget Awesome Kong in WWE. Go back to TNA Wrestling where she ran over everybody. That's what Nia Jax should have been from the beginning. That's what she was in NXT. And when Bayley somehow beat her, that was good storytelling. Nia Jax hitting on Enzo Amore. Nia Jax crying on television. This needs to lead to Super Jax and her just be a monster. She needs to be the equivalent to Asuka on Raw, seeing Asuka's probably going to SmackDown.
Final deletion.
Will it be as good as Impact?
Oh God, no. Good Lord, no.
Copy paste. That's it.
Yep. I think, though,
Oh wait, copy paste. Add another kid.
I do think, though, that Matt's gonna lose it.
I don't think so.
No?
Matt wins. Matt wins. Ends feud. Done. Bray Wyatt goes into WrestleMania with nothing. Matt Hardy goes into WrestleMania
with nothing.
They both go to a battle royal. The end.
Probably. And then I guess realistically all that's left is the tag team division battle royal.
We already said it. Bar Strowman.
It's a smart booking choice. I think that doing something different... WrestleMania is the time to do something different.
By the way, copyright. Bar Strowman. That's ours when we open a bar.
Fair. Now, before we move on to SmackDown, there was some big news that was dropped on Raw that I just want to quickly talk about, and we will touch more base on it when we get to the rumor mill. But the fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal.
If you're having Andre, why not have Moolah?
And I feel like once we get to rumor mill, I can kind of talk about it a little bit more. I have no problem with a female battle royal. I have a problem with it being named after Moolah.
I have no problem with there being a female battle royal. Why couldn't we name it the Trish Stratus Memorial Battle Royal? Oh wait, she's alive. Why couldn't we have named it the Wendy Ray? Why couldn't we have named it any other Battle Royal? Because you got
the Alundra Blaze Battle Royal. Once again, I get it, she's alive, but
name it anything at this point. Just don't call it the Women's Battle Royal. If you're having it on WrestleMania and you're having an Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and then just having it's a Women's Battle Royal, you're now neglecting the rich women's history that, yes, at times was checkered, whether it's Moolah or bra and panties matches, but there have been a hell of a bunch of good women's wrestlers. Call it the Ivory Battle Royal. Call it the Jacqueline Battle Royal. Call it the Baba Black Sheep Women Are the Best Battle Royal. Just don't call it the Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania.
Now, the one thing I do want to just kind of quickly touch on base with this is, do we need these battle royals? Yes. Outside of seeing people on screen?
Yes.
Why?
You work 365 days a year. Mm-hmm. It's not for us. It's for the wrestlers to get at least on the biggest show of the year. It's not fair for them to bust their butts every single day and then go, sorry, no spot for you. It's exactly what it's for.
And everybody deserves a trophy.
Matthew, what do you do for a living? Because I'm pretty sure you don't take bumps every day in front of crowds of 500 fans.
So every cruiserweight's going to be on the WrestleMania card at some point.
Yeah, they'll be in the Battle Royal.
These matches mean nothing, and matches for the sake of matches for getting people on cards is pointless.
Yes, except for WrestleMania.
Once again, this is going to be something we have to disagree on because, like I said, matches for the sake of matches. This is the problem with WWE. They do this. They've been doing this with the women for so long. They just throw them all in a match and go, "Hey, here we go. Here's the women's match. Here's the match featuring everybody we forgot what to do with."
It's WrestleMania.
Just because you're there doesn't mean you deserve it. People who work hard, who do their storylines, who wrestle, who have reasons to be there. This is the biggest show. This is a entertainment product. You said it yourself. If it is okay to bring a beach ball to WrestleMania, then it should be okay for me to expect the matches to have a reason. And the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I don't care what you say. There has not been anything good to come from it.
So, when you turn on the television to watch WrestleMania, are you watching the undercard?
Yes.
You're watching the undercard at WrestleMania?
Yes.
For what?
The same reason I watch the pre-show for every other pay-per-view.
It's just another match added to get people onto the card. The Battle Royals are fine.
That's not
on the
entirely.
undercard.
That is not true with WrestleMania. You said it yourself. The Bayley Banks match is probably going to be relegated to the undercard, but that has a reason. That has a reason to be on the pay-per-view in general.
So why all of a sudden is there needing to be a women's Battle Royal?
There shouldn't. There shouldn't be either of these Battle Royals. These matches don't matter. They don't have consequences. It's the same reason I'm still confused by the mixed tag matches.
Mixed tag, don't talk about. Okay, what about the Dusty Rhodes Classic?
That's storyline. The Dusty Rhodes Classic, this year especially, has a reason. That's the thing. You look at, like, the Dusty Rhodes Classic, stuff comes from that. Talent actually gets pushed. These people who win these matches aren't just, oh, well, you know, they won a tag team match once. It's, hey, here's the winner of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Look at this tag team. And normally they get a push because Triple H knows how to run it. Running, literally, Cesaro, Baron Corbin, Big Show, Mojo Rawley.
You're telling me if they threw Johnny Gargano into that match and he won the Battle Royal, that couldn't be a jump point for him?
But they don't do anything with it. It could have been a jump point for Mojo Rawley. It could have been a jump point for Baron Corbin. And don't say it was because Baron Corbin still hasn't done shit.
Baron Corbin won the Money in the Bank.
And wasted it. And then...
So you're supposed to tell me that every single wrestler is supposed to win Money in the Bank?
No.
So then how did he waste it? It progressed his storyline further. He is technically...
He is a chronic loser.
He is a main eventer on SmackDown.
I would not classify him as a main eventer.
How many main events has he been in?
It doesn't matter how many he's been in. Do you honestly classify Sami Zayn as a main eventer?
How many main events has he been in?
He was just in Fastlane.
Does it give him a couple more? And yeah, I will. Baron Corbin's constantly in the main event, whether it's on SmackDown or at a pay-per-view.
He is mid-card at best.
Great, but they're pushing him as a main event.
Jinder Mahal, mid-carder.
World champion.
Miz, mid-carder.
World champion.
But there are just places where people belong.
Neither Jinder nor Miz belong on the mid-card. I am sorry.
Your Jinder is 100% biased.
Your Miz is 100% biased.
I said that he deserves to be on the mid-card.
He deserves to be in the main event.
And I'm the biased one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. Jinder Mahal has done he did a great job as world champion. It was a great run. He deserves to be in the main event. But just like everyone else, where's Seth Rollins and Finn Balor right now?
In the mid-card.
Because there's no spot for them at the top. Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal all belong in the main event. They're in the mid-card, keeping that title afloat.
So SmackDown? They tried to start it off hot with Rusev versus Styles. And once again, you want to talk about talent that apparently deserves a push, but really doesn't? I still stand by it. I don't get it. Rusev isn't good. He has this weird heat for some reason that was based off of a joke, essentially. And now they're pushing him in a match against AJ Styles. Why?
Because it's Rusev Day. And by the way, happy Rusev Day.
But thinking critically here, can you think of a reason besides it's Rusev Day why Rusev fought Styles?
Yes, because it is Rusev Day. Rusev is over with the fans.
And since when does WWE care what the fans think?
It's SmackDown.
It's still run by Vince McMahon.
Doesn't matter. SmackDown's, for whatever reason, got a different flavor. And that flavor is actually catering to the fans. It isn't their mainstream show. They care more about their fans on SmackDown than they do on Raw.
That's a joke and a lie.
Nope.
Otherwise, Rusev wouldn't be losing every single match he's in.
At least he's on television making the fans happy. Fans are paying to see Rusev. They're giving him Rusev.
So, anything special from that match you care to talk about?
No, it was just Rusev was in against AJ Styles.
So the Bludgeon Brothers versus Big E and Jimmy Uso.
Good call.
Good call?
Good call.
So, I can't get behind, and I mean, you kind of said it yourself, I can't get behind New Day being in this match.
Okay, but they've built towards it. And at this point, if they're built towards it, this is the best thing they could have done. I hated the way Fastlane went down. I like this match. Put guys with a common goal together. Their teammates have been destroyed. Okay, I respect you. You respect me. Let's go do this. Now, Bludgeon Brothers destroyed them.
As they should have.
As they should have. But at least you still have that. You're gonna... Do you remember AOP?
Unfortunately.
And DIY and the Revival, and you had two teams that really didn't like each other, but they knew they weren't going to beat AOP by themselves, and they tried to beat AOP together.
And they failed.
And they failed. That's exactly what they're doing here.
Oh my gosh. Asuka confronting Flair. Woo! At least on SmackDown, they treat Asuka with dignity, which is... This is WWE's problem right now. Whether it's intentional or latent, this racism angle that they keep promoting for some of their heels, and we didn't talk about it on Raw, and I'm sorry we didn't, but I'm so sick and tired of them going, "Oh, you don't speak good English." And it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, sometimes I do have a problem understanding Asuka. It doesn't make it funny. It doesn't make me hate Alexa. It makes me hate the writers. There's no logical reason why Jinder should have ever called out Nakamura, why Alexa should have ever called out Asuka in this way. This is obnoxious. WWE needs to cut this.
Now, I know I don't speak good English, but I understood everything you said. Asuka Flair.
Asuka Flair.
Better match than Oscar Bliss.
And you know what? This is what I was waiting for. I did say that I was championing Flair versus Rousey, but since we know 100% we're not getting that, at least Flair will have a good match.
Correct.
Rude Jinder with a wonderful little guest appearance by Randall Keith Orton.
And guess who won that match?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Don't hinder the Jinder.
But once again, like, I remember Orton being involved in the match. This is just proof that these matches aren't doing anything, and we need to get to a more effective U.S. title storyline.
It's going to build to WrestleMania, and then it'll be over. It's just building. And you know what? I like the little tease they had. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but by golly, suffering succotash, Bobby Roode might be going back heel.
What made you think that?
Just his look after the finisher on Orton. He put his glorious DDT and he looked angry. He looked perturbed. He looked like a Bobby Roode ready to snap and actually be glorious again.
So he didn't have a mullet.
No, he didn't have a mullet.
Sorry, I once you see Bobby Roode with a mullet, it's really hard to get that image out of your head.
Bobby Roode, heel. I call it.
Well, I mean, Bobby Roode needs to be heel.
Yes. So when they finally cut Jinder out of this storyline, because they won't cut Bobby Roode out of it.
And you're going to have a face Randall Orton?
Randall Orton's not turning heel anytime soon either.
He's a terrible face.
He is a terrible face, but he isn't going heel.
No one in that storyline should be face.
No. Triple heels. Never been done. Never will.
Carmella versus Naomi.
Carmella, the one that's going to probably get sent to Raw in the shakeup. You know what? Actually, I don't even know where Carmella is going. She has a briefcase, and it's not going to get used.
That would actually be one of the smartest things they could do. At Money in the Bank 2018, Carmella's still sitting on the toilet, waiting to get off the pot, and it expires. It's a storyline that's never been done.
She isn't beating Asuka. She isn't beating Jax. She had her chance before. She could have. We would have believed that she beat Flair. We would have believed that she would have beat Bliss. Not the other two. She's gonna be a Mandy Rose statistic, and that's not a good one to be.
She's gonna be a Baron Corbin statistic.
Yes, at least the very first Money in the Bank cashed in and won.
Yep. The Shane promo.
I believe it is garbage.
Garbage.
I don't think Shane is stepping down. It was just a weird way to keep promoting Owens, Zayn, McMahon.
You know what? I think if the last week or two before WrestleMania he's off TV, I would like that.
Yeah, but not no more. Not no more. Owens and Zayn decided that, hey, we're going to beat him up. The only reason he'll be kept off TV is to play up his injuries.
I think something that I would like to see, and it's something that will never happen, but on Raw and SmackDown, it's always, oh, well, this match just got called. This match just got called. Every pay-per-view, it's, here are your matches. you know them at least a day beforehand. Wouldn't it be interesting if at WrestleMania, the most scripted out pay-per-view where you know exactly when each match is happening and where it's going and everything like that, if halfway through the show, Zayn and Owens come in and they heist the show and they go, "This is our WrestleMania," and then Shane comes out and goes, "It's mine," and they have a quote-unquote impromptu match. That would be great storytelling, in my opinion.
As long as they decide to keep building it up as those two just keep flapping their gums for the rest until WrestleMania on television.
Oh yeah, 100%. They need to stay on TV for the next couple weeks. Now, how do you feel about cutting out the promo, the attack on Shane?
Good.
I
feel great. I wish I would have done it.
You feel like you wish you would have attacked Shane?
Yep. I'm a yipper.
Well, see, my thing here is just like, I think they hurt Shane in ways you don't see on wrestling television.
Kevin Owens hurt Vince McMahon in ways you don't see wrestlers do on WWE television.
By pushing him?
By headbutting him.
True. I just like the fact that the chair, the use of the chair, that was different.
I don't like that spot.
Just because it's scary and dangerous.
It's gross.
The only thing I didn't like about it was Shane's really good acting.
Yeah.
His gasping and wheezing was a little terrifying. And then
yes, it sounded like he was dying.
And then I like the backdrop onto the toolbox. It's what it looked like, a toolkit or something like that.
Something metal.
That was a very Shane spot. Shane takes ugly bumps, but he does it for fun. So I think that, you know what? SmackDown ended perfectly.
Yeah, I agree.
I still think between the two, Raw was the better show, but SmackDown definitely had a good ending.
For once, I agree. Raw was the better show this week. And you know what, though? Both Raw and SmackDown's viewership was up. So that's only good news.
True. But we are getting close to WrestleMania. It has been known that as we move closer to WrestleMania, the Fairweather fans do come back. Mixed tag match. It was the Glorious Robes versus Rusev Life. Because you're not just having a Rusev day in the world of Rusev and Lana. I think that one of the smartest things they did in that match was having Charlotte hit Rusev.
At the beginning?
No. Midway through the match, when Rusev was standing there and Charlotte just tried to chop Rusev and Rusev looked at her and went, "You're not hurting me." It was this just nice moment where it actually made Rusev look strong for a second. Or you could also say that it made Flair look weak, which I could understand, but I think it was still a nice moment to have in there. And then for that to basically be the setup for the ending where Bobby Roode gets behind Rusev, gives him a glorious DDT, rolls him up for the 1, 2, 3. You know what? I think that as far as the mixed tag match was concerned, there wasn't a lot going on, and I don't think you can do a lot with Lana. She's still not a good wrestler.
No.
But this got Rusev and Lana out of that. I think the end will probably see Flair and Rude versus Asuka Miz.
Fair enough.
I think, and you know what? I think that's a really smart setup. 205 Live. We finally got our answer into how they were going to build the show leading up to the semifinals and finals of the Cruiserweight tournament. I think it was really smart to start the show off with Tozawa and Itami versus Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik. I think that with the rumor going on right now that there's going to be Cruiserweight tag titles, I think that this is the time when you start building the feuds. And the way the match ended, with Dorado and Tozawa like squaring off and being like ready to go at each other's throats, there's a really good starting point. And with Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik coming out with Kalisto, kind of forming the new Lucha squad.
The Mexicools.
Dear God.
No, John Deere.
All I'm getting at is that having this faction kind of building together, and then you're basically doing gang wars. You know, as terrible as it sounds, it's a racial war between the Mexicans and the Japanese. But this time it works, and I think this is a good spot for Tozawa and Itami. And I think that having matches like that one, you can build a really, really good tag team cruiserweight division. The only thing I want to just kind of add in as a cool spot to point out was at one point during the match, Dorado was bent over between the second and third rope, and Metalik jumped on his back, springboarded off his back, and then went to the outside for a suicide dive or whatever you want to call it. And I think that was something really cool to see, something you don't see in wrestling, something you can only see on 205 Live. And we need more of that.
Seti.
Yeah. Gallagher had a quick squash match. Seti. Cedric Alexander versus Roderick Strong.
Cedric Alexander is going to where he belongs.
Yep.
The WrestleMania.
Now, just doing a little bit of miniature mental future booking. We've got Mustafa Ali and Gulak on the opposite side of the semifinal. Next week, who wins?
Gulak. I always thought it was going to be face versus face. I think Gulak has paid a lot of dues in this cruiserweight division, and I think if you think back to when it was Enzo with the championship, the Alexander versus Gulak was right there, and I think that's where we're going in WrestleMania.
And I would 100% agree with that. Mustafa Ali cut a little bit of a promo. It looked like he got jumped at the end of it. We'll see if that is actually what happened on next week's 205 Live. But the point is, I'm looking forward to Gulak versus Alexander at WrestleMania. And if they do decide to swerve us with Ali versus Alexander, I think it's a waste of an opportunity.
Think about how many weeks out from WrestleMania we are. What happens if Ali is out? You're going to need to add someone else. And maybe, just maybe, his name might start with a J, and he might be Mr. Wrestling. And heck, maybe he gets his match against, he wins a Battle Royal, goes on face Gulak, and at WrestleMania gets the shot with Seti. Then we got one of my favorite cruiserweights against your favorite cruiserweight.
Yep.
Or maybe they'll just wait until after WrestleMania, bring them in, and then we can get that match after WrestleMania.
True. Okay. And I think that's a great segue into NXT. Started off the show with the Dusty Rhodes Classic, Sanity versus Moss and Sabatelli, and I gotta say, when you put up really strong characters like Sanity, Moss and Sabatelli coming out in their matching white trunks kinda look like jobbers or enhancement talent.
They are enhancement talent. I don't think they'll ever be anything but. I don't see either of them making the main roster, and especially not as a tag team.
Fair enough. Obviously, Sanity won. It was a good match. It was actually kind of back and forth. And as much as I hate to see Young in a tag team scene, when I absolutely believe that he could be a world title contender or an NXT title contender, the NXT title right now has too strong a competition that maybe that's not where Young belongs.
Who knows? There might be a new championship in the works.
Oh, the NXT television or whatever?
The NXT North American Championship that maybe, if he doesn't get called up, he might fit into.
That is such a bad name for a title.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why they didn't go with the Transatlantic. Or the Canadian.
Eric Young would be a good Canadian champion.
I wonder where he's from. Maybe he can be a Canadian citizen or something. Who knows? That's a story for another time.
Next, afterwards, was Lacey Evans versus Dakota Kai. The match was pretty uninteresting, though the more I see of Dakota Kai, the more I already see Bayley 2.0. What was more interesting was after the match, after Kai won, Baszler comes out. And it seemed like Baszler was just going to continue on her rampage, kind of tearing through the women's division. And she kind of makes Kai and Evans scatter. And then Ember Moon comes in. I think that they're building up to this in a really smart way. I think that the match between Baszler and Moon at NXT TakeOver New Orleans is going to tear the house down. I think it's going to easily be a contender for match of the night, if it weren't for the main event. Anything you have to add to that?
What do you think the main event at New Orleans is going to be?
We'll get to that in a minute. We then have the Street Profits versus Heavy Machinery. And in a very similar way to the way I feel about Moss and Sabatelli, I feel that Heavy Machinery look like jobbers. They have nice fancy matching jackets and matching unitards. But compared to the Street Profits, look like jobbers.
Have you ever heard of Earthquake and Typhoon?
These guys are not Earthquake and Typhoon.
Earthquake and Typhoon, as a tag team, did nothing. I believe they are Earthquake and Typhoon 2.0.
Does that mean one of them's going to start wearing a glittery Stormtrooper helmet?
Or
Shockmaster!
Or a shark mask, or something, but maybe.
One thing I want to quickly bring up with the Street Profits match was something I only recently noticed, but frog splashes are coming back and WWE is protecting them. For the most part, when a wrestler uses a frog splash, it's either like a very, very, very near fall, or it is the win. And for this match, it was the win. Do you think that with the amount of wrestlers that are using frog splashes and the popularity of it, do you think this has the ability to become the super kick where everyone uses it? Or do you think that this is actually something that's going to continue to be protected?
I feel like that if the frog splash should just be something that everyone can use. It doesn't need to be protected. It is a move that I feel one guy did really, really well. And
Two.
I feel like one guy did it.
Two.
I feel like one.
Two. I know you're going to say Eddie. But let's be honest. No one called it the Eddie Frog Splash. The name that everyone knows for the Frog Splash is the 5-Star Frog Splash. Brought to you by Mr. Monday Night, Mr. Whole Effin' Show, Mr. Rob Van Dam.
Okay. You want to go to frog splashes. Who made that look more like a frog than D'Lo Brown, baby? But anyway, Eddie Guerrero, that move is his. It will always be Eddie Guerrero's move. And you know what? The more people that use it, it's more just, hey, thank you, Eddie. Think about how many... Yes, Shawn Michaels is still alive, but the super kick is overused. And who brought the popularity to that?
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. Who brought the popularity to the...
You almost said it yourself. 5-Star Frog Splash, Rob Van Dam.
Who brought the popularity to the frog splash? That was Eddie Guerrero.
Van Dam.
Eddie Guerrero.
You live in your wonderful world of romanticism, of all your favorite wrestlers, but that doesn't make it the truth.
When we have a website and there's polls, that's going to be a poll where Eddie Guerrero wins.
So Pete Dunne versus Adam Cole.
Adam Cole, baby.
You want to talk about matches that shouldn't have ended the way they ended?
That one.
That one.
But you're not going to get Adam Cole with the United Kingdom title on his shoulder. Not going to happen.
He shouldn't have won. You talk about who's going to win the North American title. It's
Adam Cole, baby.
which is sad because they're not going to give him the NXT title. That's the thing, is this UK title is 100% a placeholder. It means nothing.
Nope. It means nothing at all.
And I think that realistically, when you look at it, it's this nice thing that had a tournament attached to it, but it should have never had a title, because it's not like WWE ever got that UK division off the ground. I think we need more integration of Tyler Bates, Pete Dunne into proper wrestling. And this UK title honestly needs to die. Unless they want to make it the North American, the title that we're calling the North American title. Unless they want to make it that value.
You can't kill that title. You hope and you pray that that title is going to get a show in the United Kingdom like they want. And this is just the first bump in the road. You can't get rid of that title. It's a pretty title. And it needs to be treated a lot better. Not get rid of, it needs to get better. You are right.
The contract signing. It was supposed to be Cien Almas and Aleister Black. Almas was too good to show. Vega showed up in his place. Thoughts?
No.
No?
I don't care about this match.
Really?
I think the writing's on the wall. I think Aleister Black is going to win the title.
100%.
And
Almas is going to get pushed up to the main roster.
This contract signing doesn't make me feel any better or worse for Almas. Doesn't change the way I feel. Doesn't make me feel like he's a chicken to fight Black. It's just another time space on NXT with the contract signing.
See, I actually really liked this bit, though, because to me, it's very reflective of what's going on with Brock Lesnar right now. It's having someone not show, but having their voice come for them. And having Vega sign the contract, that could be a plot point. You know what? He almost never signed the contract. Vega did. I think, though, that, getting to see Aleister actually kind of square off, we got to see a little bit of Aleister's character, and when he sat down, looked at Vega, and went, now that we're on the same level, that was where I felt I got to see a little bit of Punk 2.0 out of him. And, honestly, if they want to make him Punk 2.0, they could. I think the dark brooding gimmick kind of works for him, but they could absolutely push him as that kind of, anti-disestablishment stuff, and it would work.
So does Almas get called up, or does Aleister get called up?
I think we've already seen the fact that they kind of want to bring Almas up. He shows that, he's the first wrestler in how long to get a 5-star from Dave Meltzer in WWE. I think that means something to WWE. I think that means something to Vince. And I think that just as quickly as we're going to see Gargano come up, we're going to see Almas right behind him. And I think that that's integral, especially when you look at the Royal Rumble and you see that how Almas did and how long he was there and the fact that he was there in the first place.
I just don't agree that Aleister Black is going to stay down on the main roster much longer.
Then they need him to lose to somebody else. I think he'll win I think he'll win the match. I think he'll win the main event at NXT.
It's not the main event.
No?
The main event is going to be the man you decided to neglect on this podcast so far. The man that you don't want to talk about because it would go against your pretty little Johnny Wrestling. And that is Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa will main event New Orleans against Johnny Gargano. And Ciampa is not talking on the bloody microphone. It is annoying He needs to get his 2 cents out, and that's where I'm at with that.
Now, is this a thing you believe, or is this a thing you know?
This is a thing that I believe in my own little world.
Which we've seen is a very special world.
I think
it's the world where Taker can wrestle for another 50 years. It's the world where Eddie Guerrero is the only person who ever did a 5-star frog splash. It's the world where Jinder Mahal is going to be world champion 7 more times. Your world is really askew.
I hate to say it, but I live in Canada, and I'm part of Bizarro World. Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano has to main event that pay-per-view. I'm sorry.
I don't think it does.
It does. Those two have... It's Johnny's goodbye. Those two need to main event that pay-per-view.
DIY versus The Revival did not need to main event.
Whoa! 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 Yes, it did.
But did it?
No, but it should have.
And that's exactly how I feel about the Gargano-Ciampa match. It's a great feud. It's great storytelling. Putting it on the main event devalues the NXT title.
I don't give a... right now. That match deserves to be main event more than Aleister Black and Cien Almas. We have been chomping at the bit since May for this match. Since May, we deserve it to be a main event, not the second main event. It needs to be the main event. Almas and Black can take a back seat and sit back and eat their popcorn when it comes to that match.
And once again, when we do our WrestleMania and NXT TakeOver wrap-up show, we can talk about how wrong you were.
I'm never wrong.
Now, the one thing that I thought was really weird from the contract signing was Black brought out Candice LeRae. And I get that Vega and LeRae have this feud. Alistair didn't feel like the right person to do that. Alistair feels like a character who should get stuff done himself. And I get it, we're not having men hit women. I 100% agree with that. It sets a bad precedent. But there should have been another way to go about this. Candice should have just come out on her own volition.
Agreed.
Having Black go, by the way, look, it's behind the curtain. It makes him... And, like, right as they were going off air, LeRae, kind of taps Black's arm and goes, hey, buddy, kind of thing. And Black kind of smiles and looks back at her, and I'm like, but why? Why does this matter? What does this should not be? And I think that was the only, from my opinion, as far as NXT was concerned, that was probably the only misstep.
Fair enough. So that's it for the shows. But that's not it for everything WWE related.
Fair.
And David's rumor candy again makes it onto the show.
Do you have another thing that's specific just for you?
Oh, maybe.
Nobody cares about Wade Barrett anymore.
We'll get to that. But the rumors of the week, to wrap up our show this week. Things going around, things we should probably talk about. AJ to Raw after the shakeup.
I hadn't heard that one.
AJ, it sounds like we heard last year, but it sounds like Mr. SmackDown after he loses his title to Nakamura. I hope I didn't just spoil it all for you guys. But we'll go to Raw.
I mean,
fresh.
I like the concept. I like the fresh competition. My problem that lies with that is just simply the fact that SmackDown is the house that AJ Styles built, and each show needs one or two faces that run the place, and even if Nakamura is champ, which I'm still not 100% sure on that one, I think it'll be a barn burner. I think it'll be a great match. I don't think Nakamura should be world champ.
$1 million question: when you think of Edge, where do you think of him? When I think of Edge, I think SmackDown. When I think of Undertaker, I think SmackDown. When I think of AJ Styles, I think SmackDown. And I think him going to Raw stinks, but it's going to happen. Jeff Hardy.
Ha!
Driving while
Intoxicated. Oh, man. So much for Brother Nero happening anytime soon.
He blew 3 times the limit. And this is all after he decided to record some parts for Ultimate Deletion. Now, I don't know why the Hardy family's having a meltdown when Ruby Hardy decides that she needs to go on Twitter and confront a fan saying Jeff Hardy's not needed for Ultimate Deletion. It was all on them, and he's not needed. I don't want to dig into that, but where do they go with Jeff Hardy after all of this?
I mean, realistically, if we're following the wellness policy, it's kind of an interesting place because he's injured, but he should be on a 30-day suspension when he gets back.
I agree.
The problem with Jeff Hardy is that every time that Jeff Hardy has fallen off the wagon, whatever you want to say, it only gets worse. And I'm sorry. You want to see Jeff Hardy never get another match in WWE ever again? Let's see him pull what he did with Sting in TNA.
Yeah.
I don't think... I know he'll never get a match in WWE ever again. I don't know if he'll ever get a match again from that.
Yeah.
So, you know what? At this point, as much as I want Brother Nero, because that's pretty much all that's left to save the Woken universe, I think that that was the final nail in the coffin. I think the Woken universe has officially died.
We shall see. Big Show, no longer a wrestler. His contract is up, and he's being worked into the back now.
Good. I think that it's a shame that he doesn't have realistically, Big Show's farewell was him winning the Andre the Giant Memorial. Everything from there on is superfluous. He didn't do anything of value. I'm glad that WWE is keeping Paul Wright on, and I hope that he can kind of do what's best for WWE, and I think he will be a good place. He will have a good place in the back, and we will see him on camera every once in a while, but I don't need another Big Show match ever.
Kid Rock is our Celebrity Hall of Famer, giving us songs like American Bad Bleep and a bunch of songs for pay-per-views. Worth it?
You know my feeling on the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. They could have eventually one of these days. Flo Rida will be on there. MGK will be on there. And you know what? I don't care. Who knows? Maybe one day Limp Bizkit will be in there.
If Drew Carey's on there, oh my gosh, does it really matter who's in the celebrity wing?
Trump's in there.
Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal. No longer called that.
And I think...
Thank you, Snickers.
With the backlash that happened, there was some fan backlash, but it was the behind-the-scenes backlash that pushed it over the edge. And you know what? I get it. We talked about this. WWE specifically has a very checkered past with how it treated its women and stuff like that. But Moolah, when you look at the things she allegedly did, she is somebody who should be stricken from WWE's history. If Hulk Hogan gets kicked out of WWE history for saying racist remarks, the things that Moolah did, the fact that it has been disputed that she might have prostituted female wrestlers, the fact that she held a stranglehold through politicking and was the only person to win titles because she had that strong of a stranglehold, I'm sorry. She shouldn't be in WWE history. And the fact that they changed I agree with you. I agree that the Women's Battle Royal, if they're going to have it, needs to have something. It needs to have a name. Name it after Trish Stratus. Name it after Lita. Name it after... You know what? I don't see a problem with just continuing the Mae Young thing. Just call everything Mae Young. But what has surfaced from the dark history of Fabulous Moolah, she should be stricken from WWE history in general.
You know what Godfather says? Pimpin' ain't easy. War Machine debuts on a house show. They're last of the three that signed to make their NXT appearance. It's only a matter of time. Hopefully, we get War Machine versus AOP. And along those notes, Fish is officially out for 6 months. Those tag team belts will not be defended by Red Dragon at NXT Orleans.
Now, we had talked about this during the last show. Was I wrong? I could have sworn the Dusty Rhodes Classic was going to be for the titles.
Still, as far as I know, they have not announced it. But
it makes the most sense. I mean, obviously, Authors of Pain will probably recover the titles because it's Authors of Pain, and they're a really dominant tag team. Which just suddenly, in my mind, fantasy booking, Bludgeon Brothers versus Authors of Pain would be a great match.
If you're moving the bar to Raw, or from Raw to, if you're moving the bar from Raw to SmackDown, you need a team on Raw. That might be AOP.
I think that realistically, a War Machine versus AOP would be a dream match, but we'll wait for that to happen.
Now, after us getting such great storylines out of that WWE Top 10 for SmackDown, it's officially been scrapped.
Wow, that didn't take long.
Daniel Bryan is rumored to be a part of the Shane, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens angle. And, of course, I would love it to be in-ring, and of course those rumors are always going to constantly be around, and I just say that's probably more of a rumor than, hey, Daniel Bryan's going to get in the ring.
Have you heard what the tail end of this rumor has been, though? There is a possibility that he will be involved in the match as a referee. And I'm sorry, I get that people lose their minds the second Daniel Bryan's on screen, but nothing would let me down more than watching him sadly work as a guest referee where he probably screws over Shane McMahon or something. It's, you know what? His contract needs to end. The no compete needs to happen, and then by, we'll say, around December, when the contract's up and the no compete's done, maybe then we can see Bryan wrestle again.
Here's hoping. Blue Balor's at it again. He's released his own clothing line, PENK. As far as I saw, it's only 4 shirts right now, but he's moved his way into the fashion business.
Good. If they're good clothes, I mean, if they look anything like his jacket, I'm on board. But
remember, he was sponsored in New Japan with his ring gear, so I have a funny feeling he knows a thing or two about clothing.
And you know what? Honestly, now that WWE's gotten into bed with Under Armour, I mean, if the clothes are good, if people are going to buy it, cool. If they retail for ridiculous amounts, you won't see me wearing any PENK. But you know what? They start selling shirts for, the same price they sell WWE shirts. Maybe I pick one up.
Yeah, it looks like it is 35 pounds.
That's a heavy shirt.
It is a very heavy shirt. WrestleMania 35's location has been announced. Shocking. WrestleMania 35 just outside New York at the MetLife Stadium.
Now, this brings up a question. Do you think that while their home base is in Connecticut, their heart is in New York City? And we agree on this one. Do you think that running all these pay-per-views in New York City is a cost-cutting measure? WWE has been very well publicized on a lot of their cost-cutting measures. No more pyros, which I'm hoping we'll still see some at WrestleMania. No more, they've changed a lot of things up. What if they're limiting their touring now to cut costs?
Don't think that's why they're going New York. When it comes to WrestleMania, it's all about the bids, where they're getting the most money, all that stuff. New York probably just put in enough just because of what they do with SummerSlam. Before we get to the last rumor, the thing that excites me pretty happy. Let's get to my rumor candy and something that's not wrestling, but it is a little bit wrestling. CM Punk has his official second fight. It will be June 9th in Chicago, Illinois. And hopefully he realizes that he's needed back in wrestling, and I'm happy.
I was going to say, how can you be happy about Punk doing anything in UFC?
I'm not. I'm hoping that this is... Well, I miss Punk, so I'm probably going to watch his fight on June 9th. But I'm hoping this is the end of that, and maybe, just maybe, CM Punk is all in.
So I'm guessing the rumor behind why people feel there's a lot circulating on why he's going to show up at All In. Do you know it all? So, obviously, All In happening in Illinois. That's already you're there.
Yep.
Barry the No Drugs Bear. Have you heard of this character?
It is part of the Bullet Club's little gimmick that they are drug-free, and that's the way to be.
And you cannot tell me that the man who is instantly associated with straight edge life in the wrestling world, there is a possibility that he will be in the bear costume, and we will find out at All In.
Well, we will find out at All In. If he wins this UFC match, that probably goes down.
I'd still like to see it. I think that that's if we find out that it's just, one of the Bullet Club members already in the costume or something stupid like that, I will be upset. I think that, once again, the only thing that I could say is that this is another way to get people to come to All In. Is by hyping up the possibility that might be CM Punk. But you want to see them never fill a 10,000 seat arena ever again? Don't let that be Punk.
And lastly, everybody's favorite wrestling match has gotten bigger and greater. And a little bit of things out of that. It's still going to be 50 men in Saudi Arabia. We now know that Chris Jericho will be there, as he has confirmed he will be in Saudi Arabia for the Greatest Rumble. But it sounds like Roman Reigns let the cat out of the bag, and it will be broadcast on the WWE Network for us all to watch. The 50-man Royal Rumble. 2 in 1 year.
How lucky are we?
Pretty lucky.
This is the problem. There's so much wrong with this match that the cloud of, hey, this is Rumble, is literally the only thing that makes it good. And it's a knockoff Rumble. We figured 40 men didn't work, but hey, let's try 50. And 2 in 1 year. Hey, let's kill the novelty of the Rumble. And once again, you know what's going to happen after this match? Nothing. It's Rumble without the consequences. And you know what? I want to be excited for this. And you can bet I will absolutely watch this match because I'm a fan of the Rumble format. But the problem is, it's nothing more than that. It's nothing more than to get your money.
It's just going to be fun to watch. And that's all you're going to take it as. That's what they're putting it out there as. That's all you're going to have to take it as. That's it. That's the rumor mill. That's what happened this week.
As always, I'm Matt.
And I'm still Dave. I didn't change in 2 weeks.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And like I always say, legends come and go, Icons never die.